Don't you love the sound of rain? Praying rain, at least. Not hurricane rain, that's for sure. Good evening, everybody. Glad you're here. We're going to have fun tonight. Let's set this over here. Might use it again. So we have a lot of catching up to do with several of you of things going on. Hi, chat. Well, let's just run down the line here. We've got so many greetings and good evenings. And how's everybody doing? Mary, good to see you. Pam, are you getting a wee bit excited? She's coming to North Carolina in a couple of weeks. And I've got some pictures we're going to play with. Felicity from Down Under. Now, Susan will catch up on, but she said this. Whoops. Sorry. There we go. That her surgery went well on Friday. So that was great. Roxanne, hello. Esmond, glad you're here. Let's see who else is in here. Jeannie, great. My neighbor Mary, who is doing some incredible work with some of our folks, and I'm going to tell you more about that soon, hopefully. Hello, Brandy. Glad you're here. Wow, great. Look at this. Jeannie. Carrie, thank you for that birth time. It's funny. She sent me the Queen's birth time. Birth time. This is evening, right? She sent me the Queen's death certificate article from Bazaar Magazine. And it was funny because I'm in this astrology group that I just joined on Facebook. That's professional astrologers. And they're arguing about a whole nother time. Okay. Arnaldo. Oh, this is great. Hey, Brittany, glad you're here. All right. We've got a great group tonight. So I guess that's football related, which I don't even have TV. So I'm not sure, Tom. But if whatever the pack is, I guess that's Packers, hopefully, right? Green Bay? Sure it is. Hi, Kayla. Is this your first time? I don't remember. Yeah, is this your first time with us? If it is, awesome. Great, 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 great. Rachel's coming. She'll be here in a couple of weeks. We're going to go play in the mountains. Lori, you're just so precious. Hi, Allie. Glad you're here. This is great. Awesome, 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 awesome. Hey, Kathleen, glad you're here too. This is so cool. Well, oh, really? Look at that. Look at that. We're going to talk about that tonight. So that's just perfect. First time. Awesome. What is your name? I love your herbal gold. What is your, how can we address you here? Because we love talking to people as just only watched replays. Look at this. Well, thanks for being here, Kayla. That's great. Glad you're here. Super. Fantastic. Okay, a couple of updates. Let me just, hey, Denise, good. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, everybody lock in. That's Denise. And we're glad you're here. We had like 30 new people just in the last couple of days. Awesome. Fantastic. Okay. Couple of updates. If you heard the last podcast, Fred talked about the hurricane, which did not hit his little quadrant of Orlando, but it certainly did hit other pockets of Orlando. And Kathleen, good to see you. Thank you. And Lynn was in one of those pockets that it didn't do a lot of damage, but some trees down. Her son's pickup truck was buried up to the engine in water in downtown Orlando. Her roof, possibly, they didn't know at the time. She was actually out of town when it came through, so that was fortunate. She had somebody in her home, so that was fortunate. So it was like, it worked out well, but for a while they couldn't get into the neighborhood. There was flooding, and then there was a big tree down, so she was definitely affected. I haven't heard from anybody else. So our folks on the coast, Nancy and Cheryl, they were okay. Of course, it had really died down before then. So from what I can tell, I don't know of anybody that checked in from the heavily affected areas. So hopefully everybody in our group was okay. Here we go. See? Mildly. Okay. All right. All right. Well, Brandy, I'm glad it wasn't serious, and I'm glad that you are okay, most of all. But this is one of those things that comes through. Fred talked about it in the podcast. Okay, here we go. See? Perfect. We got a lot of connection to Florida. Just a lot of connection to Florida. So, see, I don't think Lynn has power yet either. I don't know. She was having to conserve her phone. So, all right, great. Well, the thing about that, when it moves through, I mean, we just obviously send love to that situation, and we will tonight, obviously. Yeah, Fred had quite an interesting perspective on it. I really didn't expect for the conversation to be that much about it. I thought we would touch about it, but okay, here we go. So this is Tom's fiance, who you see in the picture there. Bridget says her parents' and sister's house was destroyed. Okay. Well, I am so sorry. Wow. I'm so sorry. I'll tell you what. You just sit there and as you watched the strength of it and the size of it coming through. I know a guy that used to work at the radio station that I do this radio show on in Dallas. He just left, lifelong dream, to move to, it was one of the towns just north of Fort Myers. And they had some kind of a kayaking business that they had planned out. I mean, this thing was orchestrated for years that they had been saving for this. He was, I think, only in his late 40s or early 50s. So still plenty of time to enjoy this. And they moved up there, and their house was not destroyed like what Tom just mentioned, but it was heavily damaged. Their boat was damaged, just like everything that they had created was affected. So I know this is, and so all you can do is we will send love. We will absolutely send love. Well, I've got a lot of thoughts about electric cars. Some guys were doing some repair around here, and they said that somebody had a Tesla and they were trying to drive up to Boone in the mountains on the Blue Ridge Parkway. They couldn't took 3 charges to get 2 hours down the road. So it's great in theory, but anyway, we won't go into that. There's a lot there. Okay. So Susan's surgery, she said, went well, and obviously she's in recovery, but doing well. So glad you are here with us tonight. That was endometrial cancer. Since we have talked really over the last 2 weeks, my friend Cheryl in St. Augustine, my college friend, got a tough report in her situation. So tomorrow she is beginning about what looks like 6 weeks of pretty intensive treatment that she is pursuing. So we will definitely be praying for her. If anybody else has anything special that you'd like to drop in, please do, because really I wanted to talk about our Jenga blocks tonight, which we haven't done. A lot of you are new, and we came up with something last year, and I don't even know if we've done it this year. I don't think we have. And it's just a really cool analogy. So I thought we would talk about that for a brief minute. But really, my focus tonight was going to be on this music situation. And Carrie was just saying that another group is getting the same thing. And I'm just really curious. Now, all of a sudden, this, at first it was like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. There's no music playing here. And then I was like, is there music? Is there anything around that could be music? No, there's no music. And then it got to be a little bit irritating, Facebook, come on, Facebook, seriously. And then I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And then when we triggered Ave Maria last week, and we knew that last week was a really powerful meditation. Now, I've been thinking about this a lot this past week. And I think it, yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I think what's going on is, and especially if another group is getting it, oh boy, should I tell this story? All right. Y'all want to hear this one, I don't give me any negative podcast reviews if I tell this. All right. It's weird. It is definitely weird, but it makes a point, I think. Y'all want to hear a weird story? what time period? 12, 13, 14, and through there, 15, maybe 13, 14, 15. I was living in downtown Dallas. I was working in downtown Dallas. I was doing a lot of radio shows during that time that were syndicated on this network that went to, I don't know, a bunch of markets. And so it was, with my resistance to traffic, right? It was a lot easier because actually the place I worked was 2 blocks away. So it was a nice little walk basically across the street. And I had a gym down there. It was really a cool experience. I had a gym down there. And so the apartment that I was in this old department store building that was prominent in the 1950s. So you all have heard of Neiman Marcus, right? Neiman was across the street. Their first store and corporate headquarters was diagonal across the street. And then this was the other main department store in downtown Dallas. And they were kind of Neiman's, and the name of it is slipping me, the company. But anyway, it was a big department store in that era. And if you know the names of streets in Dallas, you know Elm Street, because that's the street that President Kennedy was on. And you know Main Street because that's the street that the motorcade went down. They turned on Houston and basically turned from Main to Elm. And my building sat in between Main and Elm. And I was on a corner unit on the 6th floor that used to be the president of the company's office. And they had come in and obviously turned these things into loft apartments. So I had the most beautiful wood floor and the most incredible crown molding all the way through the living room and, well, the living room area. Kitchen was put in, obviously. And the paneling in there and these cabinets, it's almost like these secret you push on the wall and what's in there. And a window looked out to Main Street, and I could just look down, and there was Main. And then another window looked to the west, which was the direction down toward where Kennedy was shot at the School Book Depository building. And I would walk down there all the time. And I'm fascinated by the Kennedy situation, as so many, it's one of those every day of the year, including holidays, there are probably anywhere between 25 and 50 or 75 people or more walking around Daley Plaza, pointing up, looking over here. It's like nobody believes the thing, right? So it's always busy. One night, I was sitting there in the apartment by myself. Typically, I liked the low light. I had a nice stereo because it was soundproof. These walls were, 2 feet thick, concrete. And so I didn't have to worry about neighbor noise. And I would put on some nice music, and I was just in a meditative state, journaling probably, thinking. And back then I was having a lot of connections with people on the other side as kind of mentor kind of thing. Like one time I connected, I remember, with Paul Harvey, broadcast mentor. It was really cool. It was really, truly cool. Got some good advice. So this one night I was sitting there and I felt as clear as you are hearing me here, President Kennedy. And he asked if he could come stay in my space. And this is strange because Majana and I had started dating at this time, and she had a totally separate, and before this, several years before this, she had been approached by JFK Jr. about telling the story of the truth of his death. So here's JFK in this really strong energy. And I just said, yeah, okay. And that was it. Really, that was it. Well, a few days later, I just got to thinking about, the Kennedy curse. And it's like, hold on here. And I, by this time in my journey, I was up on this stuff enough to know that we were dealing with some kind of reality here. So I came back another night, set the tone, and I said, Mr. President, could we please talk? I'd like to ask you to leave, to not stay here. And there was a moment of just energy. I didn't hear or sense anything, just a moment of energetic disruption. And I said, look. And because of my walks, when they turned the motorcade at the old the old red courthouse was 1 block away from where he was shot. And they remodeled it, and their construction crews were in there working, and you could kind of see through the windows, and you could tell. I mean, they were doing a really nice job, right? So I said, why don't you go down to the courthouse, to the red courthouse? It's completely new, renovated, but there are plenty of other places downtown. But I said, I wanted to ask you one question before you go. Why here? Why did you choose this place? And the answer did come through clearly. And he said, because of the beacon of light coming through, I could see it. I was like, whoa. Thank you, sir. I wish you the best. All right. So you could call me crazy. You could call me weird. I have a friend. In fact, he's been on the podcast. Stuart, from episode number 6 or something, one of the early episodes, he told the story of his cancer and how he dissociated himself from his body. Those of you who are going through cancer, by the way, you ought to look those up. Stuart Couch, some of the early episodes. Stuart is still going. The doctors had, long given up on his case, and he's still here, still doing great, still working at 76. Stuart used to work for the CIA. I told Stuart, and I have a relationship that I could tell him this, and he would at least listen. And when I mentioned it, he said, oh, yeah. He said, people all over downtown talk about encountering Kennedy. Go figure. So, one of the things I think that is going on here is the same kind of thing. There is a beam of light that is protruding out from this time and us together that goes out into the universe and is carried by angel choirs. In fact, here is kind of cool little, if you listen to the Fred episode, that's the current podcast, we picked a couple of chapters from the Essays 7 audiobook. And the chapter that he picked was the chapter on singing in an unknown language. So if you want to skip over the storm part, just go to about the last third of the interview, and that's Fred talking about this chapter in Essays Book 7 of that he zones into an unknown language and the higher consciousness, because you are completely transcending the mind. It's like babbling, right? Just making stuff up, but it's getting out of the headspace. So let's do this real quick, and then we will get into our meditation tonight, because I thought really the thing to do here is to be focusing on us together. So let's do Jenga blocks, and then we'll do that. We haven't done this year, like I said, and so many of you are new. We did this, I remember, back when I was in Morganton, so that was definitely before Christmas of last year. But got this just idea of the game Jenga. You guys know what this is about, right? I've got some Jenga blocks sitting right here. And we're going to see if we can pull some out of the tower here in just a second. But Jenga is about removing the blocks without tumbling the tower. And I got to thinking, that's a perfect analogy of our soul journey, right? Because as we poke around on this thing, like there's an easy one. I just poked on the back, right? And then boom, there's an easy one that just came out. But if I poke on this one, see if I can do it the other way. If I poke on this one up here, there's resistance. Resistance. There's going to be resistance there. There's resistance on this one. See, I could try to wiggle it out. See, all these are stuck. Oh, there's an easy one. And isn't that the way it is with issues in our life? Now, see, we're imbalanced here, right? So if I try to move that over, nope. Oh, there's an easy one. Pick that one out. See, so this is the equivalent of an issue that is just easy to drop. It's like, no big deal. It's easy. I don't mind. I'm just going to give it up. Like, boom. Okay, that one's over. That's out of my life. I don't have to worry about that. I'm not doing that anymore. That's resolved. But then when we poke on these others, that's not moving. How about this one? No. See, that's stuck. And if I pull that block right there, this whole thing comes down. Oh, there's an easy one. Get rid of that one. See, there's another little issue that you just say, this is something that I should really give up. I should just stop doing this. This is something that doesn't serve me. I've carried it around for a long, long time, but higher ground, leveling up, what if up, right? I'm walking a different path. Here are the other ones, right? Okay, whoop. But there's all this other stuff that when I try to poke through, like it's not moving. Oh, there's an easy one. See, there's something else, whatever it is. Maybe it's a person. It may not be a thing. Maybe it's a person. Maybe it's a place. But it's something that doesn't serve. Easy. Move it out. Just prune your life. And this is a really good time to be doing that. Fall is always good. October is really good. We've got an eclipse, big eclipse coming up. You've got full moon coming up, big releasing energy. So there's all kinds of stuff that we can do, right? The point is are these that are harder to move, the ones that have resistance. And those are the ones that take the work. And then all of a sudden, you've been working, you've been poking on it, it didn't want to move, and then something shifted. And then all of a sudden, you're able to take out another issue that now really surprises you. Wow, I didn't think I could do without that one. I thought my whole life would fall apart. And it just slipped right out. Whoa. Then you think about, well, if that one came out so easily, maybe there are other areas. Maybe there's other stuff. Let's see if something else might be able. Oh, look at that. Wow. I don't have to deal with this. I don't have to carry this around anymore. I am free. And it is gone. And when we move them on out of the way, it's as though they were never there. And then we just keep chipping away. We just keep moving through. And we realize that this is what the whole darn thing. I've poked on that the whole time and it wouldn't move. But that's what our life is about. It's about saying goodbye to things that are no longer needed, that no longer serve. And that's the Jingle Blocks. And that is just such a really cool analogy to think of when you're working on something and then finally you really break through it. You can celebrate. Jingas. Holler Jenga, and nobody will know what you're saying. But you will, and your soul will be celebrating, and it's going to be really fun. All right, let's move into. Thanks, Denise. I love that little analogy, and so many of you have not heard it that I thought we would talk about that. All right, we are coming up. I know we have several of you in here who are going on the. Thank you, Kayla. Several of you coming in October for our little trip, and I just wanted to take a minute to acknowledge you guys and let you know how excited I am. I'm going to start getting active in the the WhatsApp group now. We'll start chatting it up and talking about some of the plans and things going on. But you are most welcome, Brandy. You are most welcome. We all need it. You know, that's our journey. It really, truly is. Stuck stuff that gets unstuck, right? Then we move it out and we celebrate it. It's gone. And we don't need it. We really, truly don't need it. And things are lighter. The tower is lighter without them. So we won't be going to see this little statue, but it's too far up the road and it's the wrong direction. But I saw it on the map and I thought, oh, I've got to go see that. I have got to go see that. And it is crazy funny. The expression on the Sasquatch's face is just priceless. So oh, maybe one of you will see Bigfoot while you are up here. Who knows? But the trees are absolutely getting beautiful right now. And this is just one that's right up the way. It's my little walk here in the neighborhood. But there are so many great colors, and I know that it's just going to keep getting better and better. And when you get here, we will find zones of color that are going to be absolutely spectacular. And I'm looking forward to those of you coming, and we are going to have a wonderful time. It's going to be great. All right. Now, let's pull this in, because what I wanted to envision in our mind is those of you who have a few wrinkles under your eyes over here, right? Remember Charlie Brown at Christmas time, something that a lot of us grew up with. And you remember on the Christmas specials that at some point the whole group would get together around usually a Christmas tree and they would sing. And I'm just thinking about this music. And I thought, let's envision us kind of like that. We're together and we're around in a circle and we're singing. Because that music is getting translated. And just like the beacon that was recognized in downtown Dallas, we're creating that kind of energy during this time. And I know how it's happening. It's very clear. It's our combined energy and intentions. Now, the intention tonight is not to get a copyright violation and not to, go through all of that. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. The intention tonight is to form that energy that the angels have been carrying out into the ethers on our behalf. Those of you who have been around know that that's how this started, that it was the original intention to simply, collectively, together, get as close to pure love as we could as a group, and then send healing energy to the world from here. And that was it. And we all know that incredible things have happened over the now 14 months that we've been doing this. So let's just settle in here. I think what I'm going to do, let's see, this is just a beautiful space picture. Let's do this because this is really the high vibration of that which is much bigger than us, picking up the energy that we are creating and taking it where it needs to go. So a lot of us have been together now enough that we know each other's names. We know what each other are kind of going through. And then some are new. Some are very, very first time. Some are from the United States. Some are from other countries. And yet we're all here together to do this. And yes, some are facing even potential terminal illnesses. And some have had their homes destroyed. This is the world we live in. So let's gather in a circle. Doesn't that feel good? Just like in the Charlie Brown movies. The old gang gathered around. You remember they always looked up to the sky when they sang. At least Charlie did. His nose would be way up in the air. That's us. Let's feel each other's presence. And whatever's going on in your space, whatever's going on in your environment, whatever's been going on in your day, what's going on in your world, what's going on in your life, whether you're fighting cancer and hoping that the diagnosis will reverse, whether you've just been through surgery, whether you're having trouble with your kids, whether you are doing great and last week was one of the best weeks you ever had in your life, or whether you're having to put your home back together. Feel the love that binds all of us, and intend to put everything outside aside and take our energy up to pure love. Think of what pure love means to you. And then one of the best and easiest ways to reach love is to give it away, not try to take it. So if you can reach love and then pass love, then you are truly a flowing channel. So think of those around. Susan in her healing and her cancer-free diagnosis that is around the corner. Cheryl and her treatments and her cancer-free diagnosis that is in front of her. And whatever your issue is, Bridget's family, their home. Fortunately, everybody's okay. And as we think that some of us are facing life-threatening issues, when we can say everybody's safe, that's the biggest blessing, even amidst the inconvenience. So gratitude for all of us being together in this time and space. There's another high emotion. Sending each other love. Send it to others in the group. Think of people who come to mind. To Brittany, to Pam, to Arnaldo, to Denise and Kayla, our new members, to Kathleen, to Brandy, to Tom and Bridget and their family, to Felicity, to Chet, to Roxanne, to Pam and Rachel, to Allie, also fighting cancer, by the way, to Esmon, Roxanne, Nancy, sending love to each other. Susan, Anna, Carrie in Australia, Laurie, Mary, Jeannie, Mary next door, and picture singing. Maybe we're singing in an unknown language, but our little noses are up in the air and our mouths are moving. Whatever sound is coming out is what's coming out. Doesn't the thought of that lift your soul already? Just feel into that for a minute. Maybe old Charlie and Lucy and Snoopy and all the rest of the gang are right there with us. I mean, isn't that fun, and isn't that lighthearted, and isn't that entertaining, and isn't that intended to make us light? Sure it is. And then around this circle, just think of a beam of light going up from us. That beam of light going all the way up to this nebulae or galaxy or whatever this is, way out there. And in along the way, as that beam is shooting out into space, it hits the areas of this earth that need it so badly. I could make a long list, but let's don't. Let's just focus on what if up and let the beam do the work. It knows where to go. That was evident when I was living downtown. I was just living, I was doing the podcasts, narrating some audiobooks. All of that was going on full on, going to the gym, walking up and down the streets of downtown. And yet somehow a little beam of light was going out through the window. Let's send that beam out. It will find what it needs to find. And those who need it will find it. In fact, we could think of so many problems. Let's just think of so many opportunities. Let's think of that love being love that draws people up, not down. Yes, there are a lot of problems, and let's think high. Little noses up in the air, singing our little songs. As that beam goes up like campfire smoke into the sky. And standing around that opportunity of that light, we do look up into the sky and we see the stars. We realize that there is so much more and it is so much bigger. And we just rest that in love, shooting up that beam, that as humans, we are doing everything we can do on the highest level of energy we can create and tap into and be. And we rest in that, knowing that the rest will be handled by that which is bigger and beyond us. And what a comfort that is. And we just leave it there. We've done our part, at least for tonight. And then in our minds, let's all take three big steps in toward the beam of light, as though it were a campfire. And now we're all huddled up. Now we're not a circle, we're a huddle. And we're hugging each other's necks. And we're feeling each other's energy. And it's high. It's high on your left, it's high on your right, it's high across from you, it's high next to you. High energy because it's love. And for those who have had challenges, we give them an extra hug. And we tell them we love them. And we wrap our arms of love around those of you dealing with these challenges and your families, the ones you love. And what a special moment that we can create this kind of feeling and this kind of emotion on Zoom. Wow. Beams of light come from funny places. And now we come back into our own space, knowing that we'll be back. If all is well, next weekend, we'll be back. And we'll do it again. And we'll connect. And we'll get our week started off well. Now, before we break this moment, set a quick intention or 2 or 3 for the week ahead. In that energy of love, that high energy of white light going up into the universe, what do you want in your life this week to show up? If you have a pen, jot them down. If you need time to think, really put some thought into it, maybe do it before bed, but stay in the energy. And then we commit those to that universal force. I love Greg Braden's story about praying rain, that the old native didn't say thanks for the answers. The thanks was for the privilege of co-creating with Source. You are the creator. You are the answer. You and your source. You and your God. You and your higher power. And we say together, so it is. I love you guys. And I love that moment. I love that moment when the energy is so real that we know that we're there together. Our spirits are connected and they're tight. It's the highest ground. And it is beautiful. Now, may the angels take this wherever they want. If they want to take it to Facebook's servers, fine. If they want to take it somewhere else in the world, that's fine too, wherever it's needed. They know best. I know it would be cool to do a little after talk. Maybe next weekend. It's been about a month. I thought we'd try to do those once a month. We'll see if we can maybe get together on Zoom after next week. Let's think about that. Okay. Let's see how it goes. We'll see what, we'll lean toward that. Good. I love your comments. You guys is so amazing. Thank you so much. Trisha, are you new? Is this your first time? Maybe I just missed if you've been here before. I just love these comments. Good to have you back, Jeannie. Oh, look at this. So Kathleen is Susan's friend, and she joins by phone. Susan puts the phone up, and she joins in. Says her bird went crazy, as in singing a bird song like the group. Oh, my goodness. Oh, Kayla, thank you so much. Well, welcome here. You're welcome anytime. And please contribute and jump into our Facebook group, because that's where the conversation goes all week. And these are amazing, amazing people. So you are most welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And I see you're on YouTube. If you're not in the Facebook group, it's Subconscious Mind Mastery and Fun Astrology Podcast listeners in Facebook. So if you're able to get in there, that's great. Hey, Kelly, didn't see you earlier. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so if you guys would like to do that, we'll try to work that out. Okay, good. Okay, I see. Understood. Love to you, Nancy. Glad you're safe. Glad you made it okay. She's in the Jacksonville area. Allie, thank you for being here. Thank you so much. And just love you guys. Thank you so much for doing this. We are, as we look out there and we think we're so helpless, no, we're not. And we're doing our part when we get together to do this every Sunday night. So thank you. And we will have a little after chat next week if all goes well. All right. You guys have a great one. Capture your 3 things. Make sure, write them down if you really, note card, journal, whatever, wherever you write things down, and capture them. Let's see what unfolds over this next week. All right. I love you. I'll see you in the morning on Fun Astrology, and we'll see you back here next Sunday night.